Hello, welcome to episode 13 of JagaVision. A little bit of time to get going, but we are up and running. 1:08 p.m. on Thursday, the 25th of June. We're gonna have an awesome show today. We should have joining us at 1:20 is gonna be Aaron Kafka with Kafka's Coffee and Tea over in Vancouver, one of our older customers. We're also going to be joined by Sherri from Sister Speak Music, a music project that JagaSilk has been sponsoring for almost 7 years now. So pretty excited. She joins us every week, so it's lovely to have her. And then we're going to be drinking some Xian, a 144-year-old oolong that we'll talk about a little bit more when the time is right. So yeah, we're just gonna start out how we normally do. I'm gonna be brewing up some tea. This is some Xian I've weighed out. I'll put that off to the side. Normally I brew a tea that I've never had before, but this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brew a tea that I have not, that I'm really interested in, but I haven't found the right settings for. So I've never heard of this tea, Gu Yu Mao Zhan, or before this year. But it's been really interesting to try and find out what is the way to make this tea work. I tried 3 grams for 2 minutes at 80 degrees C, which is what I often do for these parched greens. But today I wanted to try 4 grams, because last time I made it, it was a little bit unsatisfying. So I want to change that. See here. So I'm gonna preheat my brewer. I'm gonna be using a Kyusu, a Japanese style teapot that I really love. Used it in previous episodes. I seem to have it as a go-to teapot for my green tea selections. Gonna drop those leaves in. I don't know if you had a chance to see them, but they look really amazing. Put some out for you to see here. Parched green. Smells amazing. Pardon my shaky hands. Hopefully you got a good view there. Twisted style of finishing the tea. Gu Yu Mao Zhan. So, no smell. Again, just beautiful roast dynamics. There's like a kind of a cooked vegetable sweetness coming off of that. So I put in 4 grams. Gonna do 2 minutes. So this is just basically increasing my dose by 1 gram, which is actually a big deal. So when I was using 3 grams to 4 grams, that's like a, depending on how you look at it, a 33% or 25% increase in the botanical. And if you think about it in say if you were making pancakes and you went from using 300 grams to using 400 grams of flour, how much of a role that would play in the end flavor, you get an idea of what's happening here a little bit. So that's a pretty massive increase. I did find that when I made it with 3 grams, it was very promising, but it was lacking. It was lacking substance. It didn't have this nice, rich flavor profile that we know and love from our parched greens. So I don't know how many of our viewers know what a parched green is, but it is a way of working with tea where you pan fire. To make a green tea, you want to kill the PPO enzyme, or the propyl oxidase enzyme, within 23 hours of harvest. And we essentially have worked with a selection here that's been pan fired. And so when selections are pan fired, I find that they're less spinach-like. Out of Japan, the majority of selections are steamed, and so they give the spinach-like look, flavor, You get this really kind of emerald green color. Fun when they're parched. I have a lighter liquor color, but I get something really thirst quenching and satisfying out of them. I find a little bit goes a long way. I can work generally with hotter water temperatures to bring out dynamic flavors. It just makes things interesting, really, for me to be working with both steamed and parched greens. You can roast greens. There's lots of ways you can kill that PPO enzyme. You can bake them, boil them. Never had a good boiled green tea, but I'm sure it exists. Wet fragrance. Smells really promising. Oh, what would I don't know how I would really define that. So nice liquid color, really. Not a lot to complain about there. I'm used to, say, like a Longjing, where it's going to have a lot more subdued color. It still has really dynamic flavor, but yeah. Aromatics. Peach? That's really good. Excuse the bell. One of the crew's gonna go grab that. I think that works quite nicely. Huh. So a little bit of acridity there that I think I could soften. I think it'd be interesting to try this tea more like how you might find, how you might find it brewing a Longjing. I wonder what that would taste like. When I brew a Longjing, I cool down the water temperature, and I find that does a lot for just bringing out a little bit more of the umami. Let's see if I can't do that. And how I brew Longjing is I find that it works out nicely to have 6 grams for 6 ounces. Drop my water temperature down, so I'm just going to add a little bit of cold water here. Try brewing this at 70. I don't really have high hopes for brewing it this way. I think it's going to taste under-extracted, just from the notes that I'm tasting. But I'm hoping that through a soft extraction with a high dose, I might get something really interesting out of this. So might change how I approach parched greens with this experiment. So preheated it. I'm going to put in 6 grams for 180 grams of water. My water temperature is going to be 70 degrees C. I plan on brewing for 1 minute and 15. It's generally my go-to number when it comes to Longjings. Guests join us in 4 minutes, so this gives me a little moment to work with the tea here before they join us. Yeah, really, really nice color. There's a little bit of excess stem. This is a lower price parched green, so I wasn't expecting too much from it, but it's been surprising me. I think there's a lot of potential here. Hasn't been separated very well, so you can see just a little bit of excess stem that you would normally see removed in your higher quality greens. There's a nice presence of young leaf, very intact bud sets. When you're harvesting tea leaves, when you're hand harvesting them, a pretty common way of working with them that holds together some really promising flavors is to pick 2 leaves in a bud. It's called a bud set. and to see that intact shows a very careful process. So, yeah. Let's see. So we're at 70. Gonna try 6 grams for 180 mils. And see what happens. So that acridity I might be able to soften. I actually have this idea that if this doesn't work, the next time I make it, I'll probably do the same hotter temperature of 80 degrees. Maybe an experiment with 90, but drop how long I extract it for. I find that with my parched greens, when I, generally speaking, if it's not a Longjing, if I brew with 70 degrees centigrade and it's not like pre-Qingming, super special grade green, I find that you just lose all the aromatics. There's no nose. You'll get something quite rich. You get a lot of umami, but you just don't get a lot of aromatics. I find that when we brew with 70 degrees C, you do gain a little bit more. Sorry, when you brew with 80, you gain a little bit more of the aromatics. 90 degrees and it's all nose, but flavor-wise it ends up being really flat. You end up burning away a lot of that softer protein flavor, that umami richness. So there's a minute 15. So this is kind of our tried and true brewing parameter for our Longjing. Again, this is not a Longjing. Just experimenting with the style. See what happens there. Kind of soft. Interesting. Yeah, lacking in flavor structure. Just got a message. Yeah, unfortunately, Sister Speak had some technical difficulties and was unable to Facebook Live her stream. Hopefully she'll be on our show with good form. She's in a different location this time. If there's a struggle hearing her, that's what's going on. We'll be being joined in moments here by Aaron Kafka from Kafka's Coffee and Tea in Vancouver. Again, Sherri, who joins us weekly, will be joining us too. And we'll see for the show. I'm just writing her now. Apparently I can't do this very easily. That was a disappointing extraction. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hey, we have Aaron Kafka on the line. Aaron, we can't see your video.
I'm working on it.
Working on it. Okay, awesome. He'll be with us shortly. We can go back to me for a moment here. Thanks for coming on, Aaron.
Thanks for having me.
It was a little bit of a, I know it's a chaotic time, so. Oh, maybe we lost you. Yeah, we lost him. Okay, well, he's gonna try again, I think, from a different device. We'll see what happens. Aaron, if you can hear me, I can't hear you. Oh, there you are. Okay, I think we got you.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. You're sideways. I don't think your phone corrected itself. There we go. Okay, you know, it's better to go sideways if you can make it happen because it fills up the screen better, but maybe your phone doesn't want to rotate there.
Let me see what I can do.
Okay, it's not the end of the world. Anyway.
No.
Oh. Hey, don't sweat it, man. It's good to have you on the video. We'll just.
I'm happy to be here.
We have so Aaron, you that fixed it for a moment there. Oh, well, okay, we're good. Oh, yes, perfect. It worked. I don't know, 5th time's a charm.
Yeah.
So Kafka's, lost you again. I don't know what's going on.
No. I'm here. I can see you and I can hear you.
Our audience can't see you. I wonder what happened there. Do you want to try clicking the link one more time? See what, Love the technical difficulties that come with doing this show. It's been quite a journey to figure out the best way to to make this happen. And I find that, I think we got you back. We do. Amazing.
All right.
Okay, we're good to rock and roll. So yeah, Aaron Kafka from Kafka's Coffee and Tea in Vancouver. Aaron and I have known each other since close to when you opened. I think Mew and I walked into your cafe and forced you to drink matcha.
Yeah, it was 10 years, almost 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago. So, and then you've been off and on serving our teas, and you've come to a place where you've done well with our Rooibos chai, our London Fog, and you sometimes serve some of our specialty teas.
And we've always really enjoyed the blends of herbal teas.
Yeah. You've been doing.
You guys make.
It's you know, it's interesting because Vancouver, for whatever reason, seems to do really well with our really weird selections. Like I remember we did a marshmallow root, fennel, and eucalyptus, and it was just something that everywhere else in the country they were just like, what are you doing? And then in Vancouver it was just like, it did really well at Kafka's, it did really well at Matchstick, it did really well at Small Victory. It was really interesting to see the response.
I think people in Vancouver read menus. First, there's like a weird phenomenon where people actually read what it is, and so they read it and they think it's something different,
right?
And they're happy to try it.
That's
especially
cool.
like, you know, the key for us is just to make all the baristas try the tea. And once they try the tea, they're like, oh, this is really good. And then they can communicate it to customers.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. You know, it's education, right? I think that's a huge part of it, and in keeping things interesting. I remember actually a really memorable drink for me from you guys. Obviously, you just rock it with the coffees. You guys have I believe do you still do at all your locations pour overs as your mainstay for your drip coffees? Is that? It
is at our Gastown location that just opened. We do batch brew only right now.
Okay.
We will do pour overs to order. It's just a really small cafe, and there's just no space. There's just no space to do pour overs.
But in your inaugural location,
in Main Street, we don't have a batch brew. We only do pour over coffee for a drip coffee.
And that I think was really a statement, especially when you opened.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome to see you 10 years later still doing something that arguably slows down service, but you've managed to put together a really good system to make it go forward. And I think that the way we serve tea and that we encourage people to serve tea is actually based on a system that works with this kind of specialty coffee approach to measuring everything and controlling water temperature, and all the basics seem to make sense. So there's a lot of parallels there, hey?
Yeah, it's all about making a system that is easy to follow and easy for baristas to do. So for us, we try and not do anything that are involved with mixing or stirring, because you can't control that. Everyone's going to stir and mix differently. Right. So if you try and be as hands-off as possible, that's the way to get consistent, high-quality drinks. And the way that you train people to brew tea is really easy. And I think that like you have very high standards for your tea and brewing for your tea, but you do have a system that's very easy to produce world quality tea, and just like literally like regular old cafes.
That's good to hear.
Very easy to do.
That's really good to hear, man. Yeah, it means a lot, because I know that you don't say things you don't mean. So so it's really nice to hear that. You know, actually, speaking of just like interesting creations and like blends, I remember actually there's a Kafka's drink. Do you still serve it? The one in the summer with the rosemary, there's like a lemonade that you do.
We do a rosemary lemonade. We haven't done it. Yeah, we do a freshly squeezed rosemary lemonade.
I don't know if you knew this, but we actually had an herbal blend inspired by that. We did
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did a lemon balm, rosemary, and peppermint, and it was
delicious.
It was inspired by your drink. So just that combination.
I like to serve that drink because there's rosemary in it, and people are like, all people are like, why is there a tree in my drink? They're like, just try it.
just drink it. You will understand. That's awesome. No, that's cool, man. But yeah, we're gonna be joined. I'm not sure if I let you know this, but Sister Speak, if she gets her connection working where she is, she's gonna be joining us pretty soon too. So I just wanted to give you the heads up. But also we'll be drinking some tea together today. But before we go into that, I just wanted people to understand maybe a little bit about what Kafka's all about. Like people watching right now, can you tell us a little bit about what your project is? Like, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with your cafe?
I mean, our goal has always just been to serve the highest quality coffee and tea and be nice to people.
Not always easy to do.
And that's not always easy to do. But if we can serve really good quality drinks, and all of our staff can always be nice to customers, then I think that we're doing exactly what we need to do.
Okay.
And those two things, they sound simple, but they're both quite challenging to do. And
how do you accomplish that? How do you accomplish being nice to people and serving consistent, good tasting drinks?
I think a lot of it has to do with hiring the right staff.
Okay.
And finding staff that agree with that philosophy and understand what that philosophy means. And I think that once they get it, they stay around for a long time. And we want our staff to have opinions and to give us feedback and to tell us when things are good and when things are not good. And so they are really invested in the business, and they're passionate about serving quality coffee and being nice to people. And I think that not only do they appreciate that, but it also makes their lives and their work way better because they're being who they want to be. They don't have to show up to work and put on a face or do something they don't want to do. They're in a job where they are just being themselves.
Is being nice to people like a parallel with good customer service, or like it's interesting to me because I'm a firm believer in not being draconian. Okay, like I know that there's a movement, or there was maybe actually it still exists, where people just get so into this third wave coffee system of consistency and careful preparation that there can be a snobbiness that starts to develop, which is I think what you're kind of alluding to. There's something you don't want to have as a part of your business.
No, we don't want to have that at all.
But you want to have something that's really consistent and really beautiful, and you want to have really excellent execution. So is there times when these worlds, where maybe you have a certain expectation for how your product you want it to be, but perhaps you have a customer who doesn't jive with that? How do you interact with a customer that maybe wants things that are outside of the scope of what you consider to be a high quality drink?
I mean, I think that we try and educate them and try and explain to them why we're doing what we do. And if they're not interested in hearing, that's fine. We'll just give them what they want.
And that's how you be nice to people.
Yeah, we'll give them what they want, and we're not going to say anything negative or serve it in a way that is not in a positive, or serve it in a negative way. We're gonna do everything positive, and we're gonna be nice to them. So if they want something that's that we think is not appropriate for specialty coffee or specialty tea, we're still gonna do it.
Makes sense.
And we're gonna be nice.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Looks like we've been joined by Sister Speak, Sherri. Welcome to the show. Can you hear us? Okay.
I can hear you great.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so you've moved from Vernon to Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least visiting. We'll see. Sherri, meet Aaron Kafka from Kafka's Coffee and Tea.
Hey.
Sherri, I don't know if you knew this, Aaron, but she's my sister. And she's also she's a career musician. She does when it's not COVID, she's does hundreds of shows a year. She's been living in California for the last. How long were you in California? Like 12, 13 years?
10 years.
10 years. Okay, yeah. So
Oh, wow.
as long as we've known each other. So and then she just actually escaped during the COVID pandemic. She actually had plans to move up here before it happened, and then it just happened as she was moving. So she was lucky she had all of her kind of, I guess, everything in order to make that transition happen. And then here she is. So she's been doing these live performances every week. JagaSilk's been sponsoring her tours around the world with tea. She's one of the artists that we support. And there's a lot of nepotism there, and she joins us every week to kind of give a different perspective outside of industry perspective when we're making tea. So yeah.
That's fun.
And Sherri, Aaron and I have known each other for 10 years. He's has 3 cafes in Vancouver. He does a awesome job serving amazing coffee. He does our London Fog, our Rooibos chai is his main chai, some of our loose teas, and we he likes to his sense of humor. Aaron, I have to tell you this. The first time I met you, I thought you hated me I really did.
Yeah.
and that I whenever I say I don't think that's the case. He never agrees with me. So
No.
no.
No. No, a lot of people think that, but it's not true.
Yeah, there you go. So that's nice to hear.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Nice to meet you. Sometimes you have to give people a hard time when you first meet them, so you can understand what they're really about.
Right.
Go for it. Do it. I'm just
I
kidding.
don't know. It's worked for me, so I'll stick with it.
No, it's good.
But because this is live, I'm gonna be really nice to you.
Oh, amazing. Okay, cool. Yeah, because this will be archived too, right? So people will be watching it and they'll be like, we gotta keep the keep the humor PG-13.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I was gonna say you could always be really hard on me because we just met, and I also just had a really hard time getting my show going today for like an hour. So like like right when I'm down, you could be really hard on me.
It's a tempting state.
Awesome.
Please don't.
No, but so we were just talking about Aaron's project right now, Sherri, and just he has a fairly specialized, like a specialty cafe that he does, and one of his goals is to be nice to people, which is ironic after we've just discussed him with his sense of humor. But it seemed to work out really well for him. We were talking how there can be a lot of snobbiness in specialty coffee, and how to kind of not be that way. And something that came into my head is when we were doing a coffee shop here in Victoria, JagaSilk had, we were involved in management of a couple cafes here in Victoria, and our small size was 8 ounce and our large size was 12 ounce, and we just put small and large. And then when people would ask for larger sizes, we were like, oh, you know what, that's totally fine if they bring their own cup. And I thought that was an interesting way of interacting with being open-minded, is just being like, having sort of like an automatic way of serving tea and an automatic way of serving coffee, but being really open to compromise or making things the way that the customer wants if they also participate in the process. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm getting at? It's like I'm basically trying to talk about I think that there's it's important to be really cool with what people want and giving people what they want, and then also having kind of like an automatic service that you're gonna go to, and you don't kind of make it possible to just do whatever any customer wants. But if they're a part of the process of, say, like bringing their bigger cup or bringing, I don't know, something that to get involved in the process a little bit more, it am I just fumbling my words here? Are you getting what I'm trying to say at all? Can we hear you? Are you there? Aaron?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I actually wasn't sure who you're talking to.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, because we're living in a time where we're not supposed to use other people's cups right now.
Oh, sorry. Yes, of course. Yeah.
But also, we just have one size.
Oh, you do?
I think when
okay.
When we first opened, we had 2 sizes. But now we just have one size for all of our drinks.
That's awesome.
So if people were like, "Oh, do you have any large cups?" We're like, "Sorry, these are the only size cups we have."
Amazing.
And then, I mean, I think the amount of times that the customer has left because we don't have a larger cup is maybe 1 or 2 times in 10 years. I don't think people actually. First of all, I don't think anyone needs to drink like 24 ounces of milk in a drink.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just an absolutely insane amount of liquid to consume for anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever people want to do it, that's fine. I just can't imagine ever drinking that much liquid.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. Sherri is not much of a coffee drinker. But when she does go to cafes, you're generally seeking out tea, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been trying to convince. Here's something we should do live. Hey, why doesn't Aaron serve matcha?
Or kombucha.
Or kombucha. Yes. We should ask those questions. Let's be really hard.
But I mean, I think that whenever people ask for a larger size cup,
yeah,
we just explain to them that we only have one size, and we explain that our focus is on quality. So you're getting a smaller serving, but you're getting something of higher quality.
Right. Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense, man.
Yes.
I think that I'm actually really inspired by that. I think, well, at JagaSilk we only have one cup size too, but we're it's such an what we do here, I can never compare to a cafe like what you're running. You know, like you're on a main drag, you're on the main, like you get a lot of people coming in to your space that have never experienced your space before, right? Like you obviously have your regulars, but we're mostly a company built as a destination space. Like people hear about JagaSilk and they come to JagaSilk. It's less of a walk by space, and so it's definitely different challenges than say what we experienced even when we were running a couple cafes before. Like know, it's just a completely different dynamic. But I think having the one size actually makes a lot of sense. Are you anyway? I'm kind of going off on tangents. While we're talking, maybe we can actually start brewing some tea, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you guys have the Xian that I sent you both? The oolong. Yes. Okay. Timers, scale, hot water.
I don't have that, but I have some well-trained baristas who I've asked to brew it for me when I'm ready.
Okay, awesome, amazing. So why don't you get them? That's hilarious. That's like, how do you make your tea? You get the baristas to make it.
I was trying to figure out how I could make it on camera.
Yeah,
but I don't have any place in my life where I can brew tea on camera.
Right.
Because all the cafes have staff that are working.
Yeah.
If I do it at home, I have 2 little kids.
Right.
So where am I going to sit?
No, this is awesome. Like, this is the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, then let's direct traffic here. Sherri, you're working with, you probably don't have a temperature variable kettle today?
No, I don't. And I think I actually don't have the right oolong either.
Really? You have the Xian 144 that we sent you in the mail. No?
Was it sent to Vernon?
Can you brew the tea, please?
It was, yeah, we sent it to Vernon. The Xian.
Last week,
Ryan
right?
Yeah, the one you got last week.
Yeah.
It should say, it was just like one of these. It didn't. I don't think. It might have come in a tin.
Look.
I might be able to walk behind the bar, and it's quiet right now, so I could probably walk behind the bar and make some tea.
Ooh, amazing.
That's
okay.
something that would be.
That sounds great.
Is that something that would be interesting?
Yeah, I think it would be amazing. Let's see what your space looks like. Do you want to show the viewers? If you want to hold your camera sideways, it would give us more. There we go. Nice. Okay. I haven't actually been in this space. Which one is this?
This is Gastown.
Okay.
Just opened a couple weeks ago. Well, it opened about 2 weeks before the pandemic hit.
Right.
And then we just reopened 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah, that's so pandemic for you. Well, actually, I want to ask you about that once we start making some tea. But let's. So we have 8 grams of tea we're putting in to a preheated teapot or a mason jar brewer or whatever it is that you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you got to see this. I'm pretty excited about my use of an AeroPress funnel. You see that? That's what I call skills right there. Okay. We're gonna drop in 8 grams, and we're gonna use only 180 grams of 90° centigrade water. But we're gonna do a rinse of the leaves.
The world.
So that's what a rinse looks like. You're just gonna. Oh, it looks like my video is acting up. So the camera couldn't see it, but basically what I didn't
rinse the leaves. Is that a problem?
It's good to rinse the leaves. Just drop out the liquid, yeah, and then give it that initial hit, and then drop 180 grams on top.
Okay, I'm gonna have to hop off for just a second. I'll leave the camera on, but I'm gonna go hop it off and make the tea.
Okay, sorry, Aaron. Thank you.
Okay.
How we doing over at Sister Speak? Oh, I think we lost Sister Speak. Okay. So I'm going to start brewing. 45 seconds. So for our viewers, we're working with a 144-year-old tree. The Xian. I think I'd love to talk to.
Sorry, I had to go boil the kettle and.
No worries. So we're,
I don't. What do you think I should do? I feel.
You're gonna use. Do you have a scale?
I have a scale. Should I start biking and come to the shop?
Oh.
Because I don't have my. I got a matcha in the mail, but I think I don't know if I left it in Vernon or what I did.
There was the two teas that came in the mail. You only have one of them. Is that what you're saying?
I have the. I got the matcha. I don't know that was it last week that it came in the mail?
Yes. Yeah, you would have gotten it shipped. You would have received it in early last week.
Yeah, I don't know.
No?
I'll have to ask. I think I might have screwed up. I might have left it or something. I think I brought the wrong one. I brought the.
Well, I knew that you were coming.
Yashi-Zhang.
Okay. The Yashi-Shang?
Yeah.
The Yashi-Shang we cupped in episode 5. That was quite an old one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. I think I brought the wrong one.
Okay, well then you get to just hear about this tea. That's too bad.
Okay.
Okay, so
sorry, I don't have to ask Mom if it's there.
No, it's all good. It's all good. If you want to, you could actually brew the Yashi-Shang. It's from the same farmer. You won't get a chance to really taste what a 144-year-old tea leaves taste like, but we'll be able to talk about it at least and make you feel jealous. So, for our viewers, this is from Mr. Chen. He's in Phoenix Mountain. This particular cultivar is derived from the Shuishan cultivar. Shuishan is one of the really dynamic and famous cultivars that you see coming out of Wuyi Mountain. It's it's from a farmer who's quite young. So we talked about that a little bit with the Yashi-Shang. So if you wanna brew up the Yashi-Shang Sherrian, similar system. Once the water's boiled, you want to give it a rinse. It really makes a big difference to just give it a little bit of a rinse, and that's gonna stimulate the leaves. And how you rinse them is you just basically you've weighed out your dose, you put it into the teapot, you add a little bit of hot water, you empty out the hot water, and then it's gonna stimulate the leaves. Also,
sorry about that.
No, it's all good. And what you get from rinsing the leaves there, Sherrian, is you get you're washing debris that would otherwise interfere with your ability to taste the tea. So it lets you just get a nicer sensory experience with the tea than if you were not to. And also you can skip the step of preheating your teapot because you put the leaves in, and when you rinse, you're essentially preheating the brewer, right? If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go do that right now.
Awesome. Okay. And Aaron, these leaves are from they call this an arbor varietal when you just harvest from one tea plant to create this particular selection. Yeah. There's only 18 kilograms produced per year from this particular lot. The plant is 144 years old. Bashan, that's awesome. pound. Bashan literally translates as 8 immortals. And it's
8 immortals?
8 immortals.
I remember the first time that you brewed me tea, I was told that I had to get all the tea out because the last drop is the golden drop.
That's right. Yes.
So I'm trying to get the golden drop.
Trying to get the golden drop? I think I got my golden drop. Let's make sure. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that color, audience, but that's what we're looking at. And then the tea leaves. Just so you know, also, Aaron, you see a different camera than I do, but what are you getting in terms of aromatic? You smelling like
honey?
Honey, pretty floral.
Yeah, it's really floral.
This tea actually gave me a hard time trying to find the right dose.
Yeah. It doesn't just smells like so fresh.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, since it's such an old tea.
Well, when was it harvested?
This was harvested in March of last year. So your charcoal roasted oolongs generally taste best 2 years in. Mm-hmm. So this is actually a really good moment in terms of maturity for the leaf.
And how do they age it for 2 years?
Generally speaking, you're not going to charcoal roast it until you're ready to drink it. So you're gonna bring it to a state that's Well, they can actually also re-charcoal roast if they want to, as long as you have a good artisan who knows what they're doing. It seems like an anathema thing, or something you would never do with coffee, but it makes a lot of sense with these kinds of teas. Wu Yi Mountain oolongs, the Phoenix Mountain oolongs use this really beautiful charcoal roast style, and it makes it into a really warming tea. So I find that when I'm drinking teas from these regions, they're really good in the winter or when things are a little bit colder. It's been a cold June too, so it's kind of perfect. But I love that soft astringency too, eh?
Yeah, I find the astringency quite pleasant, and usually I'm very sensitive to that. But I understand it in this tea. It's like light and sweet, and it sort of like pulls the tongue in a nice way.
Yeah, I was actually really worried about drinking the tea with you when I was setting the parameters. Well, I actually invited you to drink this tea, and I hadn't set the parameters yet, hey?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I actually spent quite a lot of time trying to figure out the best way to present this tea, in my opinion, right? Like, there's so many different ways of working with an oolong.
Oh.
Is that you, Sherri? You got
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So unfortunately, there seems to be a little bit of sailboats passing each other in the night thing happening, Aaron, where Sherri-Ann's tea arrived in Vernon likely after she left Vernon.
So, oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
So she's just watching us drink tea, and she's drinking a different selection from the same farmer that she had at a different time. But this is a Gaiwan. I don't know if you've ever seen one. But they're what you would often use for making a tea like this. You can also use a small teapot. Depending on opinion, really, you could use a little clay teapot like this. Can you see that okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite tiny. Like, you hold that next to my fist. It's a very, very tiny teapot. I mean, I have big hands, but that's like only holds 3 ounces, right? So it's really tiny, and it's actually not finished on the inside. So what some farmers will do is they'll dedicate particular teapots to particular teas, because there's going to be different minerals in the teapot that are going to interact with the tea and give it a different flavor. The teapots are actually not sealed, like they're not finished on the inside, so they're not technically okay to work with for food safe environments.
Right.
But so you should be brewing in glass for food safe purposes, or in sealed ceramic. But they sure add a lot of depth and character to the teas, and it's interesting to be able to choose a teapot to bring out different flavors in your teas, right? So kind of fascinating, but yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's some coffee companies that are trying to design different cupware for different coffees.
That's interesting, to bring out different flavors. There's a really interesting coffee shop in Paris that actually works with different. They work with different mineral waters to interact with different coffees to bring out different flavors, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know why.
I mean, as the tea cools, I think that the astringency starts to show a little bit more.
Right.
So I'm curious what the second steep will be like.
Yeah, I'm getting a soft astringency right on like the front of my tongue. But I get a really nice silky texture rolling over the center. And yeah.
I mean, it is like the general texture is very soft. You can tell right away that it's a beautiful tea.
Yeah, right. Like, there's just a lot of, and I mean, if you analyze the leaves too, they got this really interesting oxidation where you can see a stripe going through the center of the leaves. Do you see that okay? It's almost like a zebra effect.
Oh yeah, I have some dry leaves. Yeah. I have some of the dry leaves in front of me. And
it is just you can tell that they've been really carefully oxidized as well. And you can actually brew in a teapot like this that doesn't have a very clear, it doesn't have a very fine filter, but you're still not getting much sediment. Yeah. So you can tell that this tea has been carefully cleaned by the farmer, which is cool.
So how did you form a relationship with this farmer?
So normally what we do is when we're seeking out relationships with farmers, we generally network. So we find somebody who maybe another farmer introduces us to another farmer, or an acquaintance in another tea company will introduce us to a farmer that they think is really great, and we'll build the relationship that way. But in this particular case, I actually thought it was a little bit of a scam at first, because he reached out to me saying that he'd found me on Instagram and he really liked what we were doing. And then I was like, okay, I don't know, man. Like, he said he's just taken over his family's tea farm. So I asked him a bunch of really quick questions, like how old are the plants? Where is it located? What does the soil structure look like? Can you send me photos? And he just sent me photos right away. He was able to answer my questions right away. And this is kind of in a chat function, so it wasn't like he was going and looking at stuff and coming back.
Right.
He was actually able
He knew the answers.
He knew the answers right away. And then obviously the proof is in the pudding, right? So then he sent me samples too, and it was kind of funny how they were sent. They were sent in like a giant tin canister, and everything was separated into like different bags. It was like being sent drugs in the mail or something.
Yeah.
and I tasted them, and tea after tea after tea was so good. And we get a lot of samples in the mail. We cup hundreds and hundreds of teas every year, and his selections really stood out. He's in his 30s. He's got a family farm in Phoenix Mountain. They've only ever sold domestically before, and he wanted to experiment with shipping internationally. And so he was actually making an effort after going to business school at university to get his family farm to have more of an international market. So that relationship started 3 years ago. And every year we've been getting samples. Every year the quality's been very consistent, really, really interesting. Sometimes I've had to say, hey man, can you clean up the tea a bit? And he's been really open to different experiments. He did different charcoal roast profiles for the yashishang. We got to taste 95 degrees centigrade for 8 hours versus 100 degrees centigrade for 15 hours, like comparing different roast profiles. Really interesting. Yeah, really interesting farmer. Yeah. You when you're working with different and Sherri, feel free to pipe in, hey, whenever you want to ask a question, for sure. But
oh yeah, I'm more observatory role today.
Sounds good. I just don't want to leave you out. But curious, Aaron, if you can talk to me a little bit about how you decide what coffees to bring in.
So right now we work with the roaster called Herkimer Coffee Roasters out of Seattle. And I met them many years ago when I was trying to figure out if I should open a cafe. I met this guy named Nathan who was working for a company called Zoka's Coffee that still exists.
Okay.
And so Nathan and I formed a nice relationship. I think I was living in Seattle. I was like, oh, I'm thinking about opening a coffee shop. I should meet some people. So I just kind of started emailing people, and Nathan and I met and hit it off. And then we sort of went our separate ways. And as I was looking to open a cafe, I just got an email from him saying, Aaron, I haven't heard from you in a while. I'm with this new company. You should check it out. Our coffee is awesome. And so I don't know, they sent me some samples. I went down there, and all they care about is sourcing and roasting quality coffee. They're a lot of coffee companies are really into branding and promotion. In addition to all that, all these guys care about is roasting and sourcing coffee. And so, of course, price is an important thing, but really, it was they're good people, which as I get older and have been around longer, I want to only work with good people. They're awesome people. They care about long-term relationships with their customers and with their farmers. So they buy almost all their coffee direct. They've been buying from the same farmers for years and years. They travel. I think that almost all their coffee is direct trade. I've gone to Colombia with them to see a coffee farm. They sort of care about everything in every step of the way in the same way that I do. So right now I'm only using their coffee. Their sort of crown jewels, their espresso blend, which is this beautiful combination of old style espresso, like classic chocolate, roasty notes, but then they bring in the new world acidity, direct trade. So you get like a combination of the hottest coffee trends right now and the coffee trends of 60 years ago.
Oh, interesting. So really a unique way of working with the coffee.
Yeah, and so their blend does change seasonally because coffee is a seasonal fruit.
Of course.
And so it does change a little bit, but overall they keep sort of the general profile the same.
Now, there's a lot of really powerfully good coffee roasters in Vancouver. Do you ever do blind cuppings and make sure that you're really happy with the product? I know relationships are absolutely paramount, but so is flavor. How do you keep your coffee roaster, and how do they keep their farmers on their toes from year to year? How do you keep it so that you balance both of those things, so that it's not only all about the flavor, but it's not only about the relationship, that you're able to find a happy medium?
That's a good question. I mean, we get samples from people all the time. I go around and I buy coffee all the time, and so we're constantly tasting the other stuff. And once in a while, we'll be like, "Oh, let's check out a different roaster," and we'll get their whole lineup. We'll taste it sort of in like by itself, and then side by side, and it always comes back to we love the stuff that Herkimer does.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. How much? I sometimes ask myself with like certain farmers I work with in Japan. I can really, since we've been working with some of them for 7, if not 10 years, I feel that I've really gotten to know the flavors. And so there's a part of me that wonders if it's just that I'm so used to it that I've identified what I'm used to as being awesome. But maybe that's okay. Maybe that's actually a really good thing to be able to have.
Yeah, and I think that when you work for people for so long, you develop this sense of honesty and trust. Where if I get a coffee, they're like, "Hey, Aaron, we have this new Colombian coffee right now. We're going to send you a sample," and I can tell them exactly what I think, and if they think that I'm right, they'll make some changes, and if they think that they're right, then we can have an honest discussion about maybe.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
I think we lost him. Are you still there?
We're right on the line of honest discussion.
Yeah. No, I feel like we lost something there. Is the stream still going? Yes. Okay, I think we're good. We just lost Aaron. So that was a really interesting dialogue too that we were talking about. So we're talking about honest discussion when he comes back. So hopefully he just can find the link okay and come back okay. I'm just gonna.
Where's Aaron based again?
He's based in Vancouver. So he's just on. That's interesting. It got so quiet. He has the music in the background that adds a lot of. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. Yeah. We're back. Okay.
Party's back.
So we lost you on the word honesty.
Yeah.
Honest discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, honest discussion.
I was saying that when you work with people for so long and you develop this like a deep respect for each other's products and opinions, when I get a coffee, if I think there's something wrong with it or they don't like something from the farmer, we can have a conversation about it and make adjustments if needed.
Yeah.
So in a way, we're always keeping each other on our toes, trying to drive quality up.
And I think that actually adds a lot too, hey? Because then it's not a 2-dimensional relationship; it's a 3-dimensional relationship. Yeah. And as a wholesale supplier, I have huge appreciation for whenever I get feedback. And I know that it's not the easiest thing to do. We're all so busy; it's so chaotic. Life is so crazy. To be able to actually send back feedback to a vendor, a farmer, or a supplier that's not necessarily a farmer, but even just like, with these quality. Not necessarily even concerns, but comments. It actually takes time, and I think it really means a lot to everybody involved in the process, for sure.
I can relate to that very, very much with music.
Yeah, hey? There's just...
a lot of my career, I've actually felt, I'd say, even humiliated. and comfortable being uncomfortable, like people, take some, leave some, too.
Yeah.
Like it's also really important to have some type of feedback, and I always appreciate feedback, and also like it's like a balance of the feedback and then trusting your vision and your own intuition and also your own taste buds. I would imagine with this.
A blend of all of them. I can see how there'd be a parallel in music as well. You want to try that second infusion while we're talking, and we can, or is it going to involve?
Sure.
You could pass it along to the barista if you want.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
Ryan, can I get another of this, please?
Let's do 1 minute. Oh, I don't know if he can hear me. He took off his headset.
While that's steeping, this Yashi, how do I pronounce it?
Yashi-chan?
Xian?
Yeah.
Yashi-chan?
Yeah.
Is delicious again.
Awesome. Great to hear.
I've been sipping away at it the whole time. It's so good.
Aaron, when you have your staff
Yes.
member make that, can you ask them to only do a 1 minute steep and not a 1 minute 15? It was 45 seconds initially. Second steep should be 1 minute. And then also
1 second.
Also 10 grams less than 180. So 170.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if he's already done it, don't worry about it. I should have told you this before you asked him to do it. But
He's already done it.
okay, it's all good. Then we're golden. We're golden. You know, I find that that it's actually become interesting. Also, I want to talk a little bit about COVID. It's been interesting to maintain these relationships within the context of the pandemic, because all these farmers that we're working with are also experiencing lockdowns, especially the Indian farmers that we work with. They actually had it to a point where the lockdown meant that even FedEx couldn't move. So couriers weren't allowed to do deliveries and pickups, which was pretty crazy. And then I know that Darjeeling is a good example of an area where they couldn't actually go out and harvest tea. So they lost their first flush, which is like 75% of their income for the year.
You keep some for yourself. Okay.
So it's been really interesting to also know that they don't have the sales that they normally would because the cafes aren't open. They're not seeing the movement that they normally do. Their annual consumption is way down. And to be able to somehow navigate with them this just insanity has been quite it tells you a lot about a company when they try really hard in this environment. They still try to keep things together, and we're all kind of it builds a sort of social cohesion, which I find really inspiring on a certain level. It's obviously challenging, but there's an inspiring component to it as well. Like that, when you build those tight-knit communities of vendors, suppliers, etc., that you feel that camaraderie. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, you know, in tough times like this, you have to stick with the people that you rely on and who need your support.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to stick with those people, especially right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to tell us a little bit about Kafka's and what you've been doing during the pandemic?
We closed for about 2 months because, I mean, I think there's some cafes that stayed open. I do believe that it was the right thing to do to close, to encourage people to stay home and to be safe.
Right.
And that was tough. I mean, my Main Street location had been open for almost 10 years every day. We've never been closed.
Wow.
So making the decision to close was not a light one for us. But it was the right thing to do. You know, we had to make sure that we did not spread this to anyone else. And luckily for us, people in BC were very good about socially isolating and distancing. And now we can be out a little bit more than we used to. So it wasn't easy, but I think that was the right thing to do. So I spent 2 months at home with my kids, which actually was awesome.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll remember that time for the rest of your life, and so will they.
Totally.
Right?
Loved it. Didn't, apart from the financial issues, we didn't have a single bad day. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
But then we reopened the Main Street location first. And, you know, one thing that was really nice is I just had so many people messaging us saying, hey, I want to buy whole bean coffee. You guys are closed. Where can I get whole bean coffee? How can I do pickup? Nice. So there was a really great sense of community that came out of that.
That's cool.
And a long-time customers really wanted to support Kafka's. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
So when we did reopen, just for like takeout a few weeks ago, people came back, and now the Main Street location is pretty busy. The other ones are pretty slow. They're in mostly areas where there's offices and one's by school, so there's not a lot of people around.
Right.
But we're open, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, man. No, that's good. You know, 95% of our cafe customers closed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was interesting for us too.
Good for them.
Yeah. So what do you think about? We did have some customers that stayed open. I felt they were being really safe. I guess the proof is in the pudding. We've seen a real, like, especially Vancouver Island, we have one case, no one on the island. and that's it. And I hope this trend continues. I am really concerned still about what the future holds, especially I think that people have been so patient for so long. It's really easy to start giving high fives and hugs and moving too quickly, So it's I hope it wasn't all for naught, but I really also appreciate the great pause that we had this time to connect with family and connect with people in our lives that share our bubble and slow down. It's been also interesting to see how we're, again, how the support has been there too, coming back online again. So, yeah, no, for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and
I only have about 5 or 10 minutes left before we.
For sure.
Before I have to get back to work.
Sounds good, man. Okay.
I got you.
What were you saying?
Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing for both of you. I think that's amazing that you did allow that time to just make sure everything was okay. That was really, really important.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Cheers to the
world.
I
know that this is also a very difficult time for musicians because there's no one knows when there can be concerts and shows again.
That's right. Yeah.
It's certainly right. It's certainly not in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not planning on touring until 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the late summer, fall.
Yeah.
So they definitely had to adapt and think about where I'm going to be staying most of the time and keeping it local. And it's like the last thing I want to do is encourage a big group. So it's an interesting thought process for sure. And it does take some sense of sacrifice from everybody to just stay on top of this.
Yeah.
And really take precautions. It's amazing that. Exactly, culturally, BC is blown my mind in a good way that people really, overall, have taken it seriously. Thank you.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, she did have some shows outside, which made a big difference. But why don't we end on? Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I just
Awesome. Aaron, you want to maybe let us know what you think of the second steep, and we can and also some parting comments.
It smells like fresh tangerines.
Fresh tangerines, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, tangerine. This is actually going to go up on our website this week. So this is a brand new tea. Tangerine is a great tasting note.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, and honey. I mean, the honey note is a driving note, but the tangerine citrus is definitely there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a soft tea.
Yeah.
I'm actually really shocked at how smooth it is. Yeah, just a really nice texture.
Yeah.
But any sorry, go ahead.
Tangerine honey. There's a little like a herb or a spice as well that kind of adds to the complexity.
I wonder what that is. I wonder how I would identify that. Yeah, there's like a spiciness to it. Reminds me of like an oregano or that kind of style,
Yeah.
Yeah. Delicious. And of course the aromatic on this. Once you finish the cup, Aaron, smell the cup. The empty cup is amazing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm getting so excited to try this as soon as I get my hands on it.
Yeah, we'll get it to you for sure. That's too bad it didn't work out for this show. But thank you, Aaron, for coming on the show today.
Yeah.
I know you have
Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Well, it's great to have you. And I know you would normally give me a much harder time than you've given me today, so appreciate you having your nice person hat on today. It's very nice. we'll have to talk more this way.
It's only because I care.
Oh, you're very sweet. So wishing you the best of luck. I hope that our viewers go and tell the world about the Great Northern Way and Gastown locations as well, and keep the support going for Main Street. You have a really amazing project that you're doing. Every time I go in, I really like your systems. I like your execution. I like your people. I think you have a really great project going, and I wish you the best of luck. And I really mean that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Did we go to Aaron's place
in Vancouver
together?
Kafka's?
Yeah.
Did we go to Kafka's together? No, we have not yet, but we will go.
All right. Well, I'll be going soon.
Oh, and I think we lost him.
Oh.
Well, there you go. He might come back on to say goodbye, but that might be it. So
back to work.
Huge appreciation for Kafka's coming on the show today. Little bit of connection issues, it seems, across the board. But I think it was lovely to have him on. And again, our viewers, if they want to go to Kafka's Coffee, if they want to look them up online. Kafka's Coffee Tea is their Instagram. Really lovely business. Been around 10 years plus, making some really amazing beverages and very creative. So the menu is always inspiring. I actually find that when I go in, Sherri, to his business and I look at how he's structured his menu and how he's serving his drinks, it's always inspiring. He's very cutting edge. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll have to go check it out. But
Definitely.
Thank you. Do you have any final things you'd like to say before we end the show today?
I just had a blast observing, and I'm so excited to try the tea. I really enjoyed this tea by the same farmer, the Yashi Chen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, am I saying it right?
Yashi Shang. You know what? My pronunciation is terrible anyway. So.
Yashi Chen.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. So I drank this whole cup, and I just am loving it. So I'm really excited to actually. I'm gonna do a little comparison at home.
Awesome.
Let's play.
Well, maybe you can take a picture when you have the bashan in the future and let us know what you think when you have it.
Okay, I absolutely will.
And think tangerine. Think tangerine. See if you can taste the tangerine that Aaron picked up in it. It's really prominent in the second infusion. It's really interesting how the different layers of flavor start to come out from extraction to extraction. This particular tea, you can actually get 8, if not 9, infusions out of it. So
it's like a whole fruit bowl of flavors.
That's right. That's exactly it. Yeah, pineapple and and ginger sauce. Yeah, awesome. So for our viewers, if you want to go check out Sister Speak, she's got her most excellent Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/sisterspeak, every week she does a show. This week didn't work out so good, but just the the IT side of this. Hey, like learning how to figure out the shows and be your own producer and
I had my first epic fail today, but actually it didn't completely fail because it was actually still really goofy and fun. I was like having a little mini meltdown inside, but nobody knew. And then and then the Facebook still worked, and then the Patreon still streams, so it'll still archive, which is nice. Okay. So it'll still be there for long term. It's still recorded. It just didn't stream it at the same time. And then
okay.
So that's the cool thing about YouTube Live is that even when you go offline, sometimes it still records it and then it'll process it, and in 24 hours the whole thing will be up.
Interesting. Yeah, when I went to start today, I had it going. I like to start a little early, saying going live at 1, and then then it all the channel dropped right at 1 o'clock, so I had to restart it, and it wouldn't restart at first, and so it was a little bit of a challenge to get today's show going for me as well, actually. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Vancouver, Ireland internet thing.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I hope not. Anyway.
I'm just kidding.
But thank you for coming on the show, and we'll see you next week, I hope. We'll be on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and you'll be doing your show at noon?
Yes, I'll be doing my show at noon, and I'm going to have to ask you some technology questions. I think I'm going to have to stream a little differently from the new location. Maybe 1 device to 2 platforms kind of thing. So maybe we can chat about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's have a conversation, 100%. Yeah, lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I had a blast.
I had a blast
What's
as
that?
well. I had a blast as well. Thank you for coming on the show.
Woohoo!
Okay. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Okay, peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
So that was Sherri from Sister Speak joining us on our JagaVision episode 13, as well as Aaron Kafka. It was an interesting challenge, of course, today, as it seems is a challenge every week, just trying to figure out the technology here. But it seems every week is a little bit better than the last, so we're looking forward to a successful week next week. Hopefully you can join us 1 o'clock Thursday. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, give it a go. Subscribe, click to turn on notifications so that you get told about when we are streaming. Hopefully you can join us in the chat room and ask questions that you might have, and we'll try and answer them live. Drink tea with us. If you check out jagasilk.com, you can see on the front page which teas we're going to be drinking the next week and who's going to be joining us, and we can have a conversation, you can drink some tea and you can join in on the conversation. So looking forward to seeing you again next week. Jagasilk.com, you can also go and find our YouTube channel by just scrolling down to the bottom of jagasilk.com's top page, or you can go to youtube.com/jagasilk for our YouTube channel. Looking forward to seeing you then. Really appreciated you joining us today for this Xian 144. Still stoked that was a 144-year-old tea. It tasted fantastic. I'm actually blown away by it. I haven't had a chance to spend as much time with this tea as I have with some of the other teas that we've talked about, as this is brand new. You should see the Xian 144 going live on our webpage within the week, and hopefully you can give it a try. We'll also be doing not a live stream, but like a live Zoom cupping that you can join in if you like with some of our matchas. We plan to make the Yabukita by Fujioka happen in the near future. So if you want to grab some of that off of our webpage as well, please go ahead and do so. You can also go and use the coupon code RENEWAL2020, and you can sign up for a matcha subscription. And the subscriptions, how they work is we mill on this fancy mill behind me. We mill the matcha fresh here at Jaga Silk, and then you receive it in the mail, free shipping across Canada, and you get the chance to have some of the freshest matcha you'll ever have in your life. So hope you sign up on our webpage there, jagasilk.com. Click on subscriptions in the store, and you can figure out which quality of matcha you'd like to have, and we'll ship it to you. So thank you so much again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you again next week, Thursday, 1 p.m.